Shirt show. All right, let's go.
Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Shirt man! All right! Episode 297 of Shirt Show! We're talking with Tony from Palm Print in the UK. Let's go!
Hey guys, if you're new here, my name is Dylan. I am the owner of Upstate Merch and the host of the Shirt Show podcast. Today, my guest was the infamous Tony Palmer. He's a great dude, owner of Palm Print. He is a consultant to Printer of Forever, just all around great dude from the UK. Super knowledgeable. I have him on like every, 6 months or a year or something at this point where we just kind of dive deep into like nerdy print stuff. We do a lot of episodes on this show that are kind of get into, shop talk and feelings and business ownership and like all these other things. But sometimes I really like to get into like nitty gritty, nerdy print stuff. So the beginning of this episode, we kind of talked about feelings, which was funny, like ironic. I just said that. But it was kind of needed. It was nice. It was the universe telling me that I was kind of on the right path. And then we got into just kind of what's going on in this industry with like AI. And then we had basically the talk that we wanted to get into were kind of like the essentials of a print shop as far as for screen printing, what you should have and why. So we talked about that for a very long time, and it was awesome. It was good to kind of get into the weeds with that stuff with him. If you do me a giant favor, it does a huge thing for this show. If you can take a second and you can like, subscribe. If you are listening to this on Spotify, maybe leave us a review. Or if you have an Instagram or Facebook, just make a story for us. Show me where you're listening, what you're doing, what you're printing. I would love to see it. It just helps spread the awareness of the show, and it helps grow and helps more printers discover who we are and what we're about. So I'd appreciate it if you do that. It means a lot. If you do like what we're doing, you can dive deeper into these episodes by joining our weekly newsletter. I write them myself at my kitchen table. It is about what's going on with me. It's got industry news from Printing United. It's got articles from a bunch of trusted, awesome printers, and just some funny stuff and some shop hacks, some useful things. You get it once a week. It's free. Just check it out. shirtshowofficial.com/newsletter, or there's links in our Instagram or on the YouTube for it as well. This show would not be possible without our amazing partners. Frank. It all starts with a screen. Whether it's new stretches or restretches, Frank and his team do it the best. To find out more, go to graphicscreenfashion.com or greatfuckingscreens.com or ffffrank.com. Cleaning screens is no fun, but EasyWay makes it way more funner. Their line of eco-friendly chemicals and equipment make reclaiming screens a whole lot easier. Right now is a great time to check them out because they have a new monthly giveaway where you have a chance to win $250 in product credit. Head over to easyway.com/giveaway to enter today. EasyWay, it's the easiest way. Always has been, always will be. Graphics is your source for production-ready digital art and remote art staffing. They can help any size shop from just starting out to enterprise level. Looking to add a hero to your art department? Check them out at graphxsource.com. I say this every so often, but I want to make sure it's known. If you just need help in the art department, you're behind on steps, or you need artwork creation, or you need a digitizer, Graphic Source is a great option. If you got someone who's going to be out sick or maternity leave or something in the art department, hit up Graphic Source. They can help you out, get you an art person for that amount of time. Or if you just have a piece of complicated art that's hard to do, just a la carte, let them do that one piece. They're just there if you need them. Great people. Hit up Nick Wood, best human out there. SNS is your premier partner in the apparel industry. One website, one purchase order, 14 distribution centers, and over 100 beloved brands. You can streamline your ordering and hit free freight faster than ever. SNS has 1 to 2 day shipping with the lowest error rate in the industry. Be sure to order your blanks from ssactivewear.com. Today's episode is brought to you by American Apparel. They have a lot of really awesome new items. I was kind of shocked and blown away when I saw all the new offerings. And I got to print a bunch of them here in Vegas and in Long Beach. Printability, fit, feel, everything's really cool. You should check them out. Go to SNS and order some samples and add them to your showroom. I think your customers will really like them. Go check them out. For over 90 years, Stahl's has been a leading choice among apparel decorators for their heat transfer materials, heat press equipment, and custom transfer services. Not only do they offer some of the best products, but they are always looking to innovate and educate our industry on all things heat press. Head over to stalls.com to order your transfers or check them out on YouTube to be taught a thing or two. I do want to say they offer a ton of stuff. patches, transfers, DTF, screen print transfers, all these other things, make sure you go to the website and just browse all the offerings. Like if you only use them for one or two things, you're kind of missing out. They have a ton of other options. Also, look at the new equipment that they're offering. It's stuff that you might not know that you needed. Go check it out, stalls.com. Ryonet has always been that go-to solid resource for screen printers. Not only are their supplies super reliable, but their network of education and support is next level. Whether you're figuring things out or fine-tuning your process or just want to talk to somebody about screen printing stuff, go to screenprinting.com. All right, guys. Thank you very much for supporting the show, for listening to this episode. It means a lot to me. Again, if you can share or like or subscribe or something, it's huge, helps the show. I hope you enjoy this episode. It gets really in the weeds, and I'll talk to you on the next one. Thanks, guys. What is up, sir?
Hey, buddy. How are you doing?
What's up, dude? How are you?
I am always good.
Always good. That's
always good. It's a decision, a choice we make, remember?
That's true. I'm trying to be better about that this year. I'm like actively trying to be positive.
It's a skill I perfected about 7 or 8 years ago, and it was life-changing without getting on a high horse or anything. Somebody explained to me that how you feel is down to you. It's your decision, your choice. And it flew over my head at first, and then it just went, hang on, I can do that.
Yeah.
That actually works.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny that you say that right now, because it's like the universe a little bit like telling me, because I've had trouble with it recently. Not that I want to get on this like depressive whatever, but it's kind of like stuff with business and stuff with the world and everything around us and whatever. I mean, here in the States is probably a little more chaotic than what you're dealing with over there, but I don't know, just in general, I'm so sick of like hearing all the negative shit everywhere, and I just want to like put out positivity. And I was telling somebody at the show that was kind of my thing now, is like trying to just be positive. And I feel like it's working. Like I feel like there's things in my life that are changing for the better because I'm just looking at them in a positive way.
It's a definite, without going sort of all, sort of like a sagey or greeny or anything. Somebody said a few things to me which were, be careful how you speak to yourself.
Yeah.
Because, you're always listening, and those words are really powerful. And another mantra, which is, I'm always good. What you say is really important. You should never give that much power to someone else.
Right.
So if you can convince yourself that you feel good, great. But you don't give that power away. Don't let somebody else tell you feel bad.
I love that we're getting right into this therapy session, like right off the bat.
Sorry. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
No, I mean it's great because it's the reality, and I think the other part of that too is, one of the things in the positivity thing is I feel like I've had trouble with people pleasing like for forever. And I think that a lot of other people's emotions have a lot of effect on like my emotions or my day. So like if somebody else is in a bad mood around me, it just makes me feel like it's my responsibility to, like fix that or something. And it's like, well, what I need to realize is like, it's not necessarily my issue or my problem. And I need to step back and just be like, all right, well, I got to do my thing. So I can't let like your thing drag me down and keep me from doing the things I need to do.
I'm not a therapy person or a therapy book person at all. I've never read a therapy book, but I do listen to Audible a lot when traveling. So I got audiobooks in the background all the time. And one caught my eye, and it was a therapy book. And I thought, am I really, do I really need a therapy book? And it was called Let Them. And it was exploring the let them theory, which is if somebody wants to do something, let them. Don't try and control someone else.
This book was 1 page long.
It just said let them, yeah. I was having a problem with someone who, I wanted to make a decision in my life, and it would affect someone else. And I was sort of like, I was not going to make this decision on fear of upsetting someone else. And so I was like, okay, let's just take this theory of let them and run with it. And it changed how I feel about it now. It basically tells you to just screw everybody else and think about you. And that's a horrible paraphrase, but it basically is, look, just stop trying to please people. You have no control over how they think.
Right.
It's down to them. So just let them get on with it, basically.
Yeah. And I think that to bring that back to our world, I think that's very important when it comes to an owner and like customers and clients, like either staying or going or letting them go, or not just trying to people please them. And it's affecting your shop and making you, do things you wouldn't normally do just to please the customer when they're kind of dicks and they don't deserve it. So I think it's full circle.
It's a hard lesson to learn. It's a hard lesson to learn.
I think it works in personal life and it works in business life, and it's one of those things that we just need to grow into. And it's evolving. That's just what it is.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So, Tony, we had you on a while ago, and your episode was very well received because, it's once in a while we get kind of like a technical talk and not just a feelings talk, which was funny and ironic because we just did a 10, 15 minute feelings talk. But I love having you on. I love hearing your input. I love watching your videos online of just like, hey, this is why this happens, or this is how this is why this takes place. But the big thing last time was you were talking about like wet on wet printing and how you kind of stack jobs and do that whole thing. So yeah, and a lot of people had a lot of questions about that. So it was really awesome that you were very forthcoming with that information. So I've been wanting to have you back on. We can kind of dive into some other, topics that are very print related, but also the world right now, and especially going to the shows that I just went to, it's kind of exciting on one hand and depressing on another hand, because there's so much, like every booth's focus was on some digital product of like, okay, this is what's popular right now. I don't blame them because that's what's selling. You know what I mean? Like that's the new hip item is, okay, let's figure out ways to do DTG or DTF or some kind of something other than screen printing for the most part. Not to say that everybody's doing that, but in general, it seems to be like, hey, let's focus on this quite a bit. And I don't know, more and more I'm getting, even with this show, like the AI and everything, I'm trying to dial it back as much as I can. But I think there should be a big focus for a lot of printers on like relearning or diving into more education when it comes to printing, and maybe dialing up your customer service, like person to person, like automate things that you can behind the scenes. But I think that you need to be more front facing, human to human when it comes to customer service, because so many people are getting
sorry, my wife has just appeared at the door and pointed at me, and I didn't know what she meant, but now I do. My son was here on Sunday, and I had a fantastic video call conference with somebody from America. And I don't wear my glasses because I'm vain. So therefore, I can't focus on what's behind me.
What's behind you? That's an issue.
I don't know whether you can see, but basically my son, who's 27, by the way, drew a dick on my whiteboard, and I forgot to wipe it off.
No, that's staying. That's 100% staying. It should be there. That's amazing.
The dog,
There's a dick on the whiteboard.
There's a dick on the whiteboard. No, that's me. No, on there. Okay.
Perfect. The funny thing is like I used to have a bunch of stuff behind me that was like that, where it was just like profane or something.
Yeah, you had a swear word behind you for a long time, didn't you?
I had a few. Yeah, there was one right here, and I changed it to frick. But like I changed things because we were getting in trouble on like YouTube, like
with they don't like it
having that stuff. So your tiny illustrated penis behind you will be totally fine.
Yeah, I mean, when we look at the customer service and the AI thing, I strangely had a conversation last week with a company who have perfected the customer service agent for screen print as almost fully AI. And at first I went, oh, don't like that. And then I thought back to the 25, 30 years of hard graft that I've had to put in to try and educate people who answer the phone first in why we can't print that, why we can't embroider that, why that won't digitize, why that image is bad. And I thought, hang on, just leave your prejudices to one side for a minute and go, that's not actually a bad use of the AI filter to filter out all that crap in the beginning, because really all we ask a human to do is exactly the same. Do you have some artwork? What garment do you want? How big is it? What's the, and asking those questions to an AI, I struggle to find the negative of it.
Yeah.
Unless you get into the sort of existential crisis of, are we being taken over by robots?
Yeah, I think there's two parts to that. And that's why I was trying to say that, it's nice to have some of it in the background, but then I like to, when a customer actually wants to talk to you, they have the instant option to talk to you. I think that there's a lot of things like the mundane, this is stuff that would be in our FAQ. This is stuff that's on the website. This is whatever. Like if you just want a quick answer or a quick response from a company, I think the AI thing is great because it's freeing up the people who are here to be able to talk to you more about the things that actually matter. So, I mean, even our phones now, like my iPhone has a feature now, which is amazing. It screens all my calls.
That just happened to me an hour before you called me.
Like you called somebody? Or
no, they called me and I was like, what's that little grey thing? My phone's not making a noise. It looks like a telephone. And I clicked on it and it basically answered the call for me. I don't know what voice it used. And it was somebody from IONUS, an ISP provider. And they talked to it. I could see the transcript of it. I replied by text, leave a message. I'll get back to you later. And the whole thing happened without my physical interaction.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know, a couple years ago, because for forever, 15 years or something, I had the business number as my cell phone number. And everybody was calling my cell phone. Well, the problem is now my cell phone number is so widely on the internet that I'm getting 1 million spam calls and texts a day. All day, every day, it's a spam call or whatever. So I ended up signing up for this cloaked app for my phone, basically, where you put it in and it scrubs the internet of all my data. Basically, it's going to take a couple months, it says, but it goes through and it cleans everything out and it submits things for you to these data brokers of we want his name and number removed and all these other things. But again, the AI part of it where it screens the call for me is huge because it'll get rid of a lot of those spam calls, but B, it's if somebody wants something, it just is hey, this is Ted from blah, blah, blah. This is what I want. And then I'm like, okay, cool. I can pick up. So I can actually put time into, because if I didn't have that tool, I probably would have just ignored it because I would have been it's another spam call. It's another whatever. But now that I can quickly screen them and be oh, this is an actual human being that wants to talk to me about something, I pick it up.
Yeah,
but just in general, I think the quoting stuff. Also, Shopify has a really good version of what we're talking about. It's if you have basic questions, if you click the chat feature, it's okay, an AI bot comes up, but then as soon as you say hey, I want to talk to a real person, it's no problem. A lot of times it's no, you have to talk to a bot, and you just sit there and you bang your head off the desk because you're I don't want to talk to a bot, I want to talk to a real person. They are nope, okay, cool, we'll get you to a person. They're giving you the option to just get your answers immediately if AI can help you or if it can scrub their website for some information. But if you're no, I want to talk to a human being, it's yes, no problem. I understand your feelings. You want to talk to a person. And then they let that happen.
It's okay if they let it happen. I want the big red button that says, put me through to a squishy thing now, because if not, you're in that loop of, thanks for calling us today. How did I help you? Well, you didn't answer my question. That's great.
Right.
Please be sure to leave a review. No, you didn't help me.
Right. You didn't do anything. This is terrible. But I think on the print side, like I said, going to these shows and everything, it's kind of more and more I'm hearing, even from my kids, of I don't know where they're getting it from, but they're oh, Dad, is that art AI? And I'm like, well, part of it, hon. We kind of, had to do this thing or whatever. And they're ew, you should never use AI. AI is bad and all these other things. And I'm okay, well, and then I have to tell them well, this is why it helps us. And this is how we get more things done faster. And this is how we're helping customer. It's not all AI, but it's an assistant that helps us get to the end result faster and all these other things. And I don't know, I get both sides. And again, even with Shirt Show, it's just me and Christina and Jared and Chad. And you know, we're trying to put out all this content as much as possible, but it's like without AI, like helping us, like making an image for a shop hack for somebody that we think is fun and funny, we probably wouldn't be able to put that content out remotely as fast because I would have to go do the shop hack, take a photo or video of it, then post it. And it would never happen. So it's
time
like
consuming.
All of these things are helping us get content out to the end user that's like from a real person, but it helps us actually make it happen. So
sometimes it's almost like a label thing, you know. Almost everything has been labeled as AI, and it isn't. It's software. And if we sort of like take a step back, well, I've got this program, this software, you know, Adobe Illustrator. Here's this software, and it does this. Well, that's great. But if we call it AI, we think about, oh, it must be bad. It's not good. But actually, you know, if we just label it as what it is, as software or code, it's not half as frightening as you think it is.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that people are just right now just sick of it. Like they're sick of it taking over everything and not having any actual connection, or like you said, like a real brain or a real person to be like, hey, like, especially if you have an issue, you know what I mean? Like sometimes the AI doesn't realize that your issue is important or why it's important to you, or they can tell the stress in your voice, or can tell that like you're in a pinch or whatever. It's more just like cold and robotic. And I want to talk to a person and be like, hey, can you understand my circumstances right now? Like, this is why I'm calling you, and this is an issue for me, and I could really use a hand. Like, that's why, like, as you put it, I want a squishy thing to talk to.
Yeah.
Like, all that being said, whatever, like, I think it's all in the middle of people deciding what's helpful and what's realistic and what's too much or whatever. But I think printing side, you know, I think there's going to be a huge influx in like this year, next year, whatever, of people just, again, getting pissed off at all of this digital and AI and whatever, and willing to pay whatever it is to pay to get like a real product of like a screen print or dealing with a human being, or, you know, all of these things, and cutting out all of this automation just because they like the experience of like, I don't know, I guess a hand printed or a real printed item and a real human being that they talk to. Yeah. So that being said, you have to have that knowledge again. Like you have to have, not that it went away for a lot of people. I'm just saying there's a lot of new up and comers that are skipping like 30 steps and they're just like printing a t-shirt with the digital thing, and they don't know how to do it the old way or the other way. So again, it comes back to like people like you are teaching like all these things and why these tools are important and why these inks are important and pressures are important and whatnot. It's becoming more and more of a thing that needs to be said.
I think we've got a couple of major subjects there. One subject is the method of decoration, and then the other subject is how we get to that method of decoration.
Yeah.
So if you look at like what you call digital printing, which is DTF, DTG, and the hybrid that's in the middle of them both, then I sort of differ from your opinion a little bit in that these are methods of decoration that really we should be using our experience to decide which one fits best.
Right.
It's something I've said before, that we are garment decorators. You know, we're not really printers, we're garment decorators. And if you give us a garment with a decoration, it's up to us to provide the best method of decoration, depending on our experience and our knowledge of how many pieces it is, how many colors it is, what's the makeup and the composition of the material. All these things come into our brain, and then we're the AI working out, okay, this one suits DTF, this one suits digital, this one suits hybrid because I'll make more money on it. I'm DTF as a transfer is not going to go away. It's always been there, and it's always going to complement garment decoration. Yeah. And it's up to us to use our intelligence to know when to apply it and when not to apply it.
No, I fully agree with you on that, and I think that's the thing that I've been trying to like advocate for on the show is that I don't want every episode to be about DTF or whatever, because that's what's on everybody's brain. But again, like I think it is a huge tool when it comes to what does the customer want. But that's what I'm saying too, is I feel like at some point the customer thing is going to swing the other way, because right now a lot of customers are wanting that. And then at some point it's going to swing back to kind of like how records are and vinyl and stuff right now, of like, oh, I want to go back to that. People are like, why are you buying so much vinyl? And it's like, well, wait, oh, I like the quality of it. I like the sound of it. I like the tangible, I can hold this. I like the jacket inside. I like all of these things. I think that that's going to swing back to printing too. And then there's going to be less amount of people that are there and available to be able to do that service. So
I think sometimes you have to zoom out a little bit as well. I'm really, really fortunate in that I get to see these production facilities around the world, and the touchy-feely screen print mass production stuff is still happening on a very, very large scale, and could never be replaced with a digital format because it wouldn't be economical. And it wouldn't give that, as you call it, the vinyl feel, that open a record and the vinyl feel.
Right.
And so it does still happen around the world. I was in places like Brazil where they've got 14 presses just constantly banging out this printed stuff that could never be anything other than direct screen print. But it's economical and it's fast enough to fit that market. Now, if that same customer only wanted 10, we'd have to have a look at something different. But I still think it does exist. I don't think it's moved into the art and craft bracket just yet. But I think there's a chance of it. It's almost like manual and auto. It's that same argument. And, I have a friend who was obsessed with his manual because it felt like he put his heart and soul into every print. It was a part of him. It was a professional technique. And then moving to an auto would take away that, that manual tactile feel.
Are you talking about Chris at Black Dog?
The death to digital. No, he'll never convert.
No, I know. Well, the funny thing is I talk to him regularly, and he was that way where he was like, I just want to manually print because I can control all these halftones. I can control, like, he loves the feel of it. You know what I mean? He loves that he can control everything with his hands. And he was afraid with the auto that it was going to kind of take away from that. But then he was getting so much work, he couldn't keep up with the manual. And then he was like, I have to get the auto. So then he got the auto and he was like, all right, now I realize like this tool I can manipulate and do basically what I was doing. It's helping me like get things done way faster and like all these other things. So I'm super happy for him. I love that guy. And, seeing him do what he's doing, I actually talked to him a couple days ago. I was like, dude, I got to get you back on the show. The problem is the time situation, and he's so busy, and like, he's in the future, like a day in the future. So like timing it up is hard for recording, but
it's difficult. Yeah.
He's one of those guys that I just cherish when it comes to like, he is in love with the craft of printing.
Yeah. Yeah. That's only because he hasn't been in it long enough for it to destroy him.
It hasn't blackened his soul yet.
It will.
Yeah. So back to our story of, like you kind of listed, there are some key like things to learn and tools to have to kind of perfect the craft of screen printing. So as you said, the essential tools and equipment. Do you want to kind of go over that a little bit? Hey guys, sorry for the interruption. I just want to say if you can take 2 seconds and hit the subscribe button and hit the like button, maybe the bell, really helps the show. And just do it real quick for me. Just right now, just hit the button. I'm whispering. I'm trying to be a little quiet. Appreciate it. Do that for me. Thank you guys. Enjoy the rest of the episode. Bye.
I have a little toolkit that I take with me everywhere because I expect these things to be in a shop. Now, when I talk about essential tools, I don't mean the $500,000 all singing, all dancing machine that you put a screen in one side and a T-shirt comes out the other. I've got the little stuff, like under $500. That was my my guess on essential things that you really should have in your shop. And it's as I visit lots of shops, I see these as essential. And then when I get there and they're not there. So number one for me is a tension meter. You would not believe the amount of professional shops I go to that don't have a tension meter. Or if they do have a tension meter, it's in the office upstairs.
Yeah.
And when I asked why it's in the office upstairs, someone said, well, it was $300. We've got to look after it. We're not allowed to touch it. Okay, that doesn't make any sense. So for me, number one of the essential tools in any print shop is a tension meter. And then it's not just buying the tension meter, it's knowing what to do with it, how to use it, how to calibrate it, and what to do when something fails the tension meter test. Because, there's an old adage, we can only control what we measure. But what do we do when it fails, and what's the failure point?
Well, I want to ask you,
nobody wants to throw anything away.
I have this list of essentials that we kind of talked about, and I kind of want to play devil's advocate with some of these, even though I fully agree with you.
Okay.
And as a professional, I want you to give me the reason why that I'm asking this question shouldn't be the reality. Is like you said, a lot of people hear from their peers, and they hear from books, and they hear from people like you. Go buy a tension meter. What they'll do is they'll go buy a tension meter. They'll have it. They'll try it out for a week or whatever and be like, okay, this is the tension of my screens. And then reality kicks in of like production and time. And I don't got time to fuck around with this. I just got to print shirts, whatever. The reality is a lot of people can still print shirts. They can still do what they're doing. They're going to have issues here and there of, banging their head being like, why is this out of registration? Why am I having issues with this? Why is this screen popping? Blah, blah, blah. And then we'll just, throw a fan in, or we'll slow a dwell down, or we'll do this or that to get the job done. And we're like, cool, job's done, fixed it. Let's move on to the next thing. Like, in the reality of this, again, there's the scientist side of it being like, oh, you should know the tensions of these screens. You should put similar tension screens together for the same job so that things line up and there isn't one that's dragging and one that's really tight and vice versa. Like, do you have an argument to be said where if you did actually do the tension meter all the time and did this, would it mathematically like work out to save you a ton of time and headaches? Or is it just something that you should do as a professional?
No, it saves money. You can put a metric on it. You can put time on it. Once you start looking at how often you stop the press, how often you have damages, how often you can't run a job, even though you ran it last time, because the operator who was highly skilled at dealing with bad equipment and made it look easy, he wasn't there that day. Right. So the same job came in, we used the same screens, but that operator couldn't do it. Was that operator bad? No, he just wasn't as skilled as the other guy at getting round the bad tension. So I think it's an absolute quantifiable number that you can put on something like, okay, 10% of your time, your downtime, is caused by X. Right. And if you fix X and you eliminate that 10% of your downtime, then that will pay for itself.
Now, that being said, say, okay, every shop listening to this goes out and gets a tension meter or starts using the one they had in the office, whatever. What is a realistic use? Is it we're checking tensions every day? We're checking tensions once a week? We're checking tensions after every cycle of screens coming through being reclaimed? And then say we do that this amount of time, what is the optimal range that we're looking for? Like, is everything got to be dead on at 30 newtons or whatever, and then it's like anything below 15 is going in the trash can? Or do we keep 15s for like black ink only? Like, what's the method here?
I get asked this a lot. I just recently got back from Jamaica, where we had a shop full of Newton roller frames. Now, I personally detest Newman roller frames, and yet technically they're the best screens to use for high tension.
Yeah.
But if you don't know how to use them, or you don't have a process in place for maintaining them, then they actually make your life more difficult. And this is where I was at this particular shop. We had Newton mesh, we had the auto table, but nobody knew how to use it. And nobody took the time to retension, apart from occasionally the screen guy would pull a wrench and tighten one corner only. So I had different tension across corners. And this feeds into, there's no point having it unless you know how to use it. And because they couldn't see any benefit from checking it, they stopped checking it. So for me, when do we do it? It depends what mesh we have, what brand of frame we have. Newman rollers for me every time it goes through the cycle.
Right.
Every single time it goes through the cycle. Why? Because I can affect what happens to it. So as it gets reclaimed, before it gets coated, it should be checked. Put on the tension meter and checked. At least
Every
checked
shop,
and written down.
I wouldn't say every. A lot of the shops that I know that do use Newman rollers, that's kind of what it is their screen tech or whatever. Every single time it comes through is getting put on the table, getting checked, getting wrenched, and then, okay, it's back to where it should be, factory specs or whatever they're approving, then coated, then racked, then used, and then so on over and over again.
Yeah. Part of the reason I don't like them, I equate them to like a pretty mistress, I call them. They're nice to have an idea of, but in reality, they're really hard work and hard to keep.
Yeah.
So
they're really annoying and high maintenance.
High maintenance. I find them in South America, Central America, because the cost of labor is so cheap. There's a guy whose only job it is to check these tensions and make sure, maintain them the whole time. I've got a guy reclaiming. I've got a guy coating and making. I've got a guy in the middle whose only job it is to maintain these frames. And when that's done correctly, that's great. But I conversely go into a lot of shops where the guy doing the printing is the guy doing the reclaiming and the guy doing the coating and the making and also the artwork and the customer service and everything else. And he really doesn't have the time to mess around with that.
That goes back to my saying of like the realisticness of this is like, okay, well, there is a by the book way of doing this and checking your tensions. But then the reality sets in of, like you said, like there's one guy for 10 jobs that have to do with that. Does he have time to sit there? He or she have time to sit there and check tensions of every screen? Or is it like, fuck, I got to get this job out or the next guy in line is going to kick me in the teeth because I'm in here with a marker and a tension meter trying to get all this stuff done. Like the reality is they're like, fuck it, code it, burn it, get it out the door. And then that job will get done today.
If we fast forward straight to statics, all we can do is measure. We can't maintain. So we just got to take a measurement. So if we look at the textbook says before use, you must check the tension, all four corners, warp and weft, write it down, do the mathematical equation, store them in ascending or descending order. We don't work in a laboratory. This is screen print, for Christ's sake.
Right, exactly.
So if you ask me what I do and what I recommend rule of thumb. A rule of thumb is we check, first of all. I mean, I know you're familiar with this, but we'll say it out loud for anybody listening. On a static frame, as it comes into your shop, let's call it 30 when it comes into your shop. On its first trip around the shop, which is all the exposure to heat and to water, to pressure, and to all the aggressiveness that goes through a shop, it loses 10 to 15% of its tension. Now, if it's stretched correctly and it's good mesh and everything is okay with the world and we're not abusing it, that's the only time it will lose that 10 to 15%. I can put my hands on screens that have been in a shop for 5 years, constantly used, and have still maintained that only first initial 10 to 15% loss of tension. So you could argue there's no point checking then. And what I would do in that kind of shop is as I pick the screen up, I put my thumb on it, and I've experienced enough to know, that feels that, like a
literal rule of thumb.
A little rule of thumb, yeah. Put your thumb on it, and eventually, it's the same. It's the same technique I teach for people knowing how hot a pallet is. Get a temperature gun, get the reading, put your hand on it, and after a week, you'll put the temperature gun away because you'll know just from feeling it. So it's the same sort of thing.
You'll know that you've burned all of the feeling off of your hand.
Left, yeah.
Right, yeah. You got that Men in Black, like burn your fingerprints off. You can commit crimes now.
If you get a tension meter onto a frame and feel it, and it's 30, and you feel it, or you flick it and you get that drum sound, then you get to feel and you get to know. And pretty soon you don't have to measure every screen. But then you'll pick a screen up and you go, "Ooh, I'm going to check that one."
Right.
The others felt okay, but this one feels off. You put your tension meter on it, it'll be 29. You'll go, "Oh, okay, it must be my thumb," and back you through. So I don't check everyone because I live in the real world, but I do rule of thumb everyone and at least check. That one's worth a measure.
The funny thing is like there's so many things that I've thought of in just our quick conversation about like Newmans versus statics versus like the Sherlock kind of style where you're just replacing frames. There are so many fucking variables in just that department. Like we haven't even got into emulsion yet, EOMs, any of these things. Just in the actual physical screen that you're going to use, there's like 80 variables. And it's like, what do you pick? What do you choose? You know, I have people who come to me and ask me about frames because I buddies with Frank and I talk about his screens very highly. And it's like, even just talking to him and being like, not all statics are created equal. You know what I mean? The reason why I talk so much about Frank is because he has like some of the best, highest quality actual aluminum frames that you put the mesh on because they're making them themselves. And it's like, dude, go buy a thin wall piece of shit.
It's like a
frame from some random place. And you're like, oh, well, I get mine for $20 a piece or something. It's like, yeah, because you're aluminum, you can literally bend it in your hands.
It goes like that. Along the long edge. Yeah. You can see it along the long edge. It goes.
That is a huge part in your tension and stuff too, because like you're going to put this high tension screen on and it's going to bend this, like you said, like a Coke can fucking aluminum. Or like you use it and it gets warped here and there. And then your tension's gone. It's not worth the like spend the extra $5-10 or whatever it is to get a real good frame, and it makes the world of difference. So I'm asking you, as someone who goes and sees all these places, like in your opinion, what is like the economical real world scenario that you think like would actually get a shop doing what they need to do and you're good? Because in my personal opinion, we went through a couple different options and tried the restretching thing and like all this other stuff, and like for us, real world statics with Frank made the most sense because it was like they're really good quality. We're using thin thread. We're having a lot less issues, you know, all these other things. And I don't have to have all these extra tools. I don't have to, you know, stretch my frames. And also too, like some of these, like, we'll call them eco frames or whatever, are like really heavy or like don't like to go through the reclaim as well. Like all these other things. So I'm not knocking any style, by the way. I'm just asking like, overall, if someone's just trying to get fucking by, and like, what do you think is the way to go?
So I love static. For me, static's the only way. Bear in mind, I'm that old. I started with wooden frames. So when the aluminium, I'll say it correctly for you.
Okay,
when the aluminium box section came in, it was great because this was like a step up from wood, which soaked the water, got warped, and was horrible to use.
Yeah.
But you know, you got to imagine that there are a lot of people use a lot of different methods. I like the Sherlock for the ease of restretching. I don't know how expensive they are. I've never actually bought one.
That was the huge selling point that made me want to try them, was the fact that, okay, I could buy 100 frames, keep them here. I don't ever have to replace them. The reason why they're heavy is because they're just strong and beefy and whatever. But if I needed to order new screens or new mesh, I didn't have to send them out to be remeshed. I could just order a tube of panels and I just pop them in, do it myself. If I pop a screen today, cool. I take the mesh out, put a new one in, it's back in circulation.
Yeah, one of my biggest takeaways from those, because I thought they were just a bit gimmicky to start with, but I was up at a shop right up in North Minnesota, and they'd had a run 2 years before of glitter jobs. So they've got a lot of 86 or 43, whatever mesh it is, the really sort of coarse mesh that you use, and they'd got like 30 of these frames stretched. And I went in there and I'm like, are we short of frames? Yeah, we're short of frames. We're having to restretch really quickly and get back in the cycle. So you've got 25 frames there. What are they? Oh yeah, they're the open mesh for glitter. Can we take that out and keep it and then put it back in again? And nobody could really answer me that question. I asked around a lot, and everybody said, well, if it hasn't got any emulsion or anything on it and it's just been stretched, then yeah, you can pop it back out. Yeah. And basically put it in a drawer, remesh those frames with 230s.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've done that. And then keep swapping the mesh rather than swapping the frame. And we're like, oh, I quite like that idea. That allows a lot more flexibility of what you actually keep in stock. Yes, they are a little heavy, but they're quite robust and they're very strong. And I was getting plus 30 newtons off every one I tested. So I really like them for that.
Mm-hmm. All right. We got to move on to the next tool. We're going to be talking about screens for forever. So your tool was the tension meter. And again, we to sum it all up, we talked about how keep it in your back pocket, not literally, but keep it next to you in the screen room. Use it on the ones with your actual literal rule of thumb, where if this screen seems off or weird, let's put the meter on it, see where it's at, either scrap it, keep it, make the decision, and then move on. But you should be doing it often enough where you kind of know where you stand for the most part.
Yes, 100%. Yeah. Okay. And if you have a problem on press and you think it's you think that, oh, maybe I just don't know how to print anymore. I've forgotten. Get your tension meter out. Stick it on there. Even put it in the ink. I don't care. It's on the, you've got to measure it like without emulsion and when it's clean. No, it's on the press. Don't take it out of the frame. Stick it on there. The plastic's all clean off when you're done. And go, that's why I'm having the problem. This bloody thing's only 13 newtons. Okay, I'll cheat like mad to get rid of this job, but when this job comes off, scrap that screen. That's real world. That's real world use.
I love the cheat like mad and get the job done, because that is so, like, I respect when people realize that sometimes that's just what needs to be done. Like, we're spinning this fucker 5 times. We're just getting the job out the door. We're doing this. I hate the people that are like, oh, if you can't spin it in one spin, it's not even worth doing or whatever. It's like, dude, do whatever you got to do to get the job done and do it right and get the quality where it needs to be and whatever. All right. Next tool. What's next on your list, Tony? What is that? I can't see.
Squeegee durometer tester. So this thing's about $20 from Amazon. And it tests the hardness of a squeegee. It gives you a real-time number of the hardness of the squeegee. Because we can no longer rely on the color. Because if we buy a blue blade from one supplier, and then we buy a blue blade from another supplier, one's a 65, one's an 85.
Dude, that's something that I've talked about a few times on here, and it's so annoying to me. I don't understand why it's not universally like green is this, blue is this, red is this, yellow is this. Like, why? Why are we making it really so difficult for ourselves?
I know exactly why. So if you buy your squeegees from Sterilor, which is a French company who make probably 90% of the world's squeegees, they are uniform. The green is always 75, red is always 65, and they follow the whole pattern through everything they do, from a high resistance to a slow resistance to a triple blade to a triple blade with 3 different types in it. They stick to the same key, same map for everything. So those squeegees, let's say those squeegees are $20 a foot. And then there's a rubber manufacturer in Turkey, and he's already making rubber for floor squeegees. And he said, I've got all this purple squeegee left over. It'll fit perfectly into your M&R machine. Do you want some? It's only $10 a foot. Absolutely. It's the wrong color, but okay, it gets covered in ink anyway. Just give me it. I'll save $10 a foot. And that's how it happened. And now we've got multiple manufacturers all in Asia, in the middle of Europe and everywhere, who are making these squeegees with leftover rubber, let's say, so they don't care about the color. And then we end up with a rainbow of colors with different hardnesses and shorns, which is what I do when I get a new one. I always write on the aluminium, right on the metal bit of the squeegee in Sharpie, cover it in clear packing tape when it's done, and that will withstand almost any solvent. And you've always got a number attached to your squeegee.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is at this point. A lot of the ones that I buy have, like, stamped, like, this is what the Duro is on it. But but they stamp
it in an ink that gets washed off with screen wash.
Yeah, that's true too. That tool is pretty sweet to figure it out. And I got a question for you too. And I don't know if I've ever asked anybody this, like a technical thing. I know that that you should always check the sharpness of your squeegee blade. And the rule, again, we'll go back to rule of thumb, was if you can feel your fingerprint like the lines in your fingerprints on the squeegee, then it's a sharp squeegee blade and you're good to go. You're rubbing your face.
A small amount of shame just ran over me then.
Okay.
I heard that on your show, and I stole it as my own, and I use it around the world.
Hell yeah. Perfect. Sweet.
People think it's mine. It wasn't. They appeared here first.
Awesome. I don't remember who told it to me. It was a long time ago that I heard it, but that was what I've always gone by, is if I can feel my own fingerprint on the edge of the squeegee blade, then I know that it's a sharp enough blade to use. If I can't,
it is perfect. I use it almost every shop I go to, I use it.
Hell yeah. That's awesome. But the question here is, there's multiple facets to this, and I've done it here too, where we load, say, like the M&R Auto, the quick clamp squeegees, whatever. You load a squeegee in, you're only ever putting it in one direction. So you're really only ever using the one side of the squeegee blade edge. Like, is it okay to, if that edge gets dull, to just take the blade out, flip it around, put it back in, and then use the other side? Or because my other thought of that, do you mean
left to right or top to bottom?
Left to right. Because top to bottom, I don't want to use, because that's the side that gets squished in the aluminium. Sorry, but the other thought of that is, again, this is like super technical, nerdy. I don't know if it actually matters or whatever, but it's like you are using a product that kind of has to be wearing out internally. You know what I mean? If you're using a blade that's constantly flexing, a brand new one has to perform better than one, even if the blade isn't dull yet, that's been used thousands and thousands of times. Like, is it holding, like, does it actually have the same like durometer and stiffness that it did when you first bought it?
So they do change, but they change with solvent infusion. They absorb solvent, and that's
right.
what changes them. It's not the use that changes them. Yeah, they change with acceptance of solvent, because screen print is not just t-shirts. It's everything from paper and board to chainsaw blades. And so different inks are much more aggressive. Plastisol's quite a tame, calm ink, and the solvents we use are quite okay. They don't really attack our squeegee blades too much. And water-based even less. So usually you find it's that or direct sunlight or abuse, heat. But normal everyday bending and using, it will change 2 or 3 points, that's all.
Not a big deal.
No.
All right, so to sum this tool up, use it just to know what you have. I mean, if you're ordering from the same distributor and okay, my red one is my 60, 90, 60, my green one's my 70, 90, 70, my solid green one's a 70, whatever, then cool. Like, your own thing, make a key on the wall so your printers know what's what. But having that meter would be really cool to, for the people who don't know, or you have random squeegee laying around, test it, see what it is.
Yeah, that's one of my best ones.
Next tool.
I don't really want to do this. Thickness gauge.
Mm-hmm.
So,
see, that one to me would be like the top two for me. Well, top three would be the thickness gauge for testing your EOM, the tension meter, and then the donut probe.
Yeah, donut probe is on my list. They're not in order, but yeah, donut probe's on my list. The thickness gauge, I wasn't going to put it on my list, and the reason I'll do a small story with this. And Kevin Cowth, emulsion guru, I asked him this question. I was using a thickness gauge, and I was using it in what I thought was the right way, but I thought I'll just check with Kev first. Am I using this the right way? Because I'm getting some strange results. So he comes out and unpacks this case with this like $3,000 thickness gauge, and mine cost me like $20 from Lowe's. I'm like, oh,
speaking
okay.
of, you can buy. We have one on our Amazon shirt show list that you can buy on Amazon. I think it's like I don't remember. It's like $40 or something.
Yeah, that's the one I use. Yeah. So Kev unpacks this thing. He says, right, what you do is this, and you take this measurement and this measurement and this measurement, and you take 10 of these, then you write these down. I thought, okay. And then you do it again, and you take these, and then you write down, then you take this, and then you minus this number from this number, and then you get this. It's all right. So does that give you a definitive number that you must use? No, it gives you a range, and you need to be within this range. You know, I put a lot of measurements here to get a pretty broad range number. It's not, I never get an exact perfect number every time. And because we're measuring something in different places, sometimes you hit the weft, sometimes you hit the wharf, sometimes you hit a blip in the emulsion, sometimes you haven't held it hard enough, and so you take an average. And so as soon as I heard all of that, I was out. I'm out.
This is way too much fucking homework.
I don't. Well, the real time payback for me is not high enough, and so I go back to rule of thumb, rule of fingernail.
Right.
So I go to the shirt side of the screen and take my fingernail and I run my fingernail across it. And if it's a low mesh, I need to feel a ridge. If I can feel a ridge on the side of the stencil where the edge of the pattern disappears, I know I've got a very good EOM on that screen. I teach people to understand and know the difference of EOM. But in the real world, like you say, in the cold, hard reality where the delivery guy's knocking on the door, the customer's ringing up, the kids in wheelchairs are having their party next door and they're going to cry because you didn't print their T-shirts.
It's such a random fucking kids in wheelchairs next door story that had to hit home at some point.
I've done that. Yeah, I've had that call.
I think the thing is, like, here at our shop, we have such harsh seasons. I think that if you live in a climate where it's pretty steady year round, then I think maybe check your EOM like once a year and be like, okay, this is where I want to be at. Because the thing for us, the reason why we wanted to really dial it in is because with the autocoder and laser and all these other things, like we want to have an optimal screen of like, okay, well, this is what our 140, this is what our 230, this is what our whatever is going to be at. I want to have that data up front and be like, okay, this is our baseline. This is where we should be at. So the thing is here is like right now, it's like fucking negative 10 degrees outside. We have heaters on and we have whatever, but still like we're dealing with like really dry right now because it's winter and we have like heaters on, which is making like temperatures rise and lower. And there's all these ranges. And then when you go to coat a screen, the emulsion is different thicknesses and it's different whatever, because depending if it was sitting on the concrete or if it's warmer that day or whatever it's doing, well, your screen's going to coat differently because the emulsion is a different viscosity and like whatever every time you try to go to use it. And it's like, okay, well, our rule here basically, like Bill does it, where it's like, maybe every quarter we check our EOM to be like, okay, we're in spring now, let's check it. We're in summer now, let's check it. We're in winter, let's check it. Because then we know, okay, we're going to do round sharp on our autocoder, or we're going to do round, or we're going to do, one pass, or we're going to do a 2-in-1, or whatever we're going to do to keep it to where it needs to be. So like that's the reason. That was
my next question: is what do you do when you find out it's not within your range? What do you do?
Right, we're checking. Well, we're either dialing up the speed on the coder, or we're dialing it down, or again, like we're doing a round versus a round sharp or a sharp or whatever. So
the reason that makes me laugh is I wholeheartedly believe there is only one edge to a coater. It's the sharp edge. That's it.
Sharp.
Yeah, that's it. Done.
I think that's what we're doing right now is like sharp on both. But I think for a while, I can't remember. Before we were using thin thread and we were using standard, I think we were doing like round sharp or something. Mm-hmm. But again, it was just in testing. It was like, okay, well, real world, this works. Like someone could come in and be like, you should only use sharp or whatever. And it's like, all right, dude, well, fuck you. Like it's not working. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, it's not working here. Like you could tell me you read it in a textbook, but like in real world, this is why this works or doesn't work. And again,
that's why I love what I do. I get to visit real world in different climates, different environments, different skill levels. And that's why you have to sort of narrow it down a little bit. Yeah, we're not in a laboratory, we're in a factory shop somewhere. Well,
that's why I tell everybody who asks me like questions like this, I'm like, dude, you just have to do your own testing. Like you can call somebody or call a buddy, but your buddy might be in Arizona. And it's like his inks, his everything is going to be totally different than yours. Like even me, like I could tell somebody down the street, like, oh, this is what I use. And then they try it and they're like, I'm not getting the same results. It's because there's 8 billion fucking variables in this industry. and maybe, 100 million of them are different than mine. Like, it's going to be different. So again, back to your reason with having that, EOM test is, I do feel like it's great to do. And I think you should do it almost like you're going to do the leads into the donut probe, which we can do next, is test it based on the seasons. Like, our dryer temperature and speed is different in the wintertime versus it is in the middle of summer.
Yeah. And we go back into, you mentioned you're doing EOM, but you also have an auto coater and you've controlled the climate inside your screen room. So, it goes back to that. Having the equipment, yes, but also making the preparations beforehand. And if we look at a thermo probe, the donut probe, the same deal exists. I can't show you a donut probe because I actually don't carry one with me. One, they're too expensive, and two, I expect the customer to have one.
Yeah. Hold on. Before we get into this, I do want to ask your opinion on this. And I think that if you don't have an autocoder, testing EOM is kind of useless. There's no point if you're manually coding your screens.
No,
because everyone's going to be different. There's no way you're going to
do your fingerprint test and get your EOM good on your low mesh counts. So sort of like 150 downwards. Get the technique of 2 and 2, 2 and 1, 6 elephants, 5 elephants, whatever it is, the technique that you use manually. Get that dialed in for your low mesh counts. That helps you get your base whites good, which is 90% of what we do. And then once that's dialed in, just try and stay as consistent as possible. But for me, it's the fingerprint, running a sharp fingernail across a stencil until you feel the lip on the shirt side.
Yeah.
Still to this day, I still find shops that have the lip on the ink side.
Yeah. Which is why, shameless plug, we do the spring break and summer camp about white ink, because it's the foundation of all of printing. Of like, if your base sucks, if your white sucks, everything else kind of sucks. Yeah. So that's why we do this whole thing where we go, the dark room, the coding, all this stuff that we're talking about right now, teach you how to have that be optimal. And then it goes to press, squeegee, durometer, pressures, angles, all of these things, all shown to you. And then go around the whole circle to this is how you make this happen. So hopefully we'll be doing one in April. We'll see. I'll post that soon. But anyway, next.
I recently just proved that point in Jamaica. I just got back and they were struggling with Jamaica's colours are yellow and green, usually on a black shirt. And the yellow was always disappointing. They couldn't get a bright yellow. And so they asked me what mesh count they should be using over a base white to get their yellow bright. And I well, according to design, but basically we still want the high mesh count, but we want a brighter yellow. Well, then get a brighter white, a brighter base underneath. Right. Now that doesn't work. So I went, no, okay, look, I'll show you. And we backed off the pressure. We made sure we had a good lip on the emulsion, and we laid down this beautiful smooth white, same ink, same set of squeegees and everything, just different parameters. Put the yellow on top. He's like, did you hit the yellow 3 times? No, we just got a really good white.
Right.
Exactly. You have to go back all the way back to the base white. Yeah.
For sure. There's a lot of things with that too. Like a lot of people are just smashing ink through. Like they might be like, yeah, my white is good, whatever. But like in reality, we have these 2 tests when we do this of like a detailed image. And it's like, okay, well, you did what you normally do here, which the white looks okay. Like as far as like optically bright or whatever, but then look at the detail that we're able to achieve with less pressure, less, ink, because we're not smashing it into the shirt and all these other things. Like, this is better speed, better lay down, better looking detail versus what you're doing now. And this is why we're doing this. And like you said, then your top colors are going to look so much better and brighter because your base is solid. If you print your base and it looks heathery as hell, and then you put a color on top and you're like, this kind of looks like shit. It's because fucking the base looks heathery as hell. Like, yep. I don't know what to tell you. That's just what it is. All right. So the next thing, which I think is super important, is like the donut probe.
Yeah. Donut probe for me is essential. With a caveat, with a but. So I've used these probes my entire life. And one of the first shops I was at in the 80s we would check these probes and we would check them. We start 8 till 5. So 10 o'clock, first check, 12 o'clock, second check, 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock. And if at any point it failed, anything that went down that dryer that day had to come back and be re-cured, double dry. This is fashion printing onto panels. And it was part and parcel of the daily routine, so much so that we got a report. And we got a report of what the temperature was, and we sat and studied the report of, middle of the dryer, left of the dryer, right of the dryer. This is a full-time job for a QC lady. This is her only job. She would perform the wash tests and do the temperature map on each side of the dryer. And I thought this was just part and parcel of everyday printing, not even negotiable. It had to be done. And then as I move away from that area, going to more promotional printing, we're like, what's the temperature of the dryer? Well, it says it's 180. Well, what is it inside? The dial on the front says 180. Can you believe that? Well, yeah, that must be what it is. 320, sorry.
Yeah.
So, if we fast forward to like mid-90s, late 90s, early 2000s, a dryer came out and I installed it. I had two really bad dryers installed. It drove me insane. I was getting wet shirts followed by burnt shirts, and I just couldn't figure it out. In the end, I put the dryers in the parking lot and said, come and pick them up. These are just worthless.
Get this shit out of here.
Get this shit out of me. Actually, what I said was, I rang the supplier. I said,
you said, get this shite out of here.
Yeah, get the shite out of it. I said, I rang the guy up. I said, have a look out the window. What do you mean? Does it look like it's going to rain to you? Well, yeah, it does look like it's going to rain. So you better get up here quickly because those dryers that you sold me are going to get wet through in the parking lot. So he said, I'll sell you some new ones. They're double the price. Okay, great. So I put these two dryers in, which were a fantastic German brand. And as I always do, I've got a lady, she comes and she checks the dryers. After a month, she came back to me and said, Tony, do I have to do this every day now? Yeah, of course you do. Yeah, we need to know. There's no point making these fantastic prints and then they come back because they fail a wash test.
Out, yeah.
But here's a month's worth of figures. The variance is 1 degree over a full month, every day. Oh, okay. I tell you what, then do the test twice a day now. Beginning of the day, end of the day. Okay, came back to me after another month. Still within 1%. Do I still have to keep checking? You know what? No. And the only dryers that I have ever trusted to fit and forget, and it was basically right. Okay, I trust these dryers that much now that I actually don't check them anymore. As long as they're set and I know what they're at, that's it, done. So we come back to, do we need a donut probe? Yes, if we don't trust our equipment. No, if we do trust our equipment.
But my question with that, though, too, is do you think it, because a lot of shop, again, we're going back to the realistic thing. Like right now for me in the wintertime, my shop is closed. Exactly. My shop, all the windows and doors are closed. Fucking shit's taped up. Like there's no air movement, no nothing. So like right now, the room is what it is in the morning. You turn the dryer on. It's at the same temp. It's whatever. It's dry. It's whatever. Summer, nope. Every fucking door is open. There's literally a 10 foot by 10 foot door at the end of the dryer that's open. Like, all of these things, I can't trust the same settings I did in the middle of winter versus now in the summertime with like airflow and breezes and fucking, and again, like even in the room temperature is now like 100 degrees or 90 degrees or something, depending on the day. Like, yeah, that's where I go back to it.
Change,
right. That's when I go back to, okay, let's change it again. If you are in a shop that's say in, Utah or something, and it's like climate controlled, you have AC in your shop, the doors are always closed no matter what, it's just you change the temperature of the room, it's 70 degrees year round, then yeah, maybe fucking let it ride. Do your 2-month test. If you're 1 degree, cool, let it ride for forever. But for here, again, that's why I say I do it based on season, is because it changes. Like my room temperature changes. I don't have AC in the shop. I have a room with windows and doors.
Yeah, it's in the real world. We need to know for sure that we've got to remember the temperature that's displayed on the dryer is recorded from a probe that's usually 6 inches away from the shirt. The infrared temperature gun. Come on, no, stop it.
Well, let's put that myth too, because that's what I feel like 90% of people are doing is they're buying a $10 probe on Amazon and they're standing at the end of the dryer with their head cocked down and they're angling it in at the shirt and watching it come through and being like, oh, this says
and I've done that. I've done that. But what are we measuring? Most of the time, we're only interested in the ink film. I don't care how hot the shirt gets. I don't care how hot the air is in the dryer. I don't care how hot the belt is, and I don't care what the display says. The only thing I'm interested in, did my ink film reach 162 degrees centigrade? Because at that point there, the chemical bonding happened. It's most of the time it's instantaneous. I'm sure John McGee will argue with me to death. It takes 10 seconds, but in reality, it's a chemical reaction that happens with plastisol ink at around about 162 degrees. The ink companies don't tell you that because if they did, everybody would set their dryers to 162.
Well, we're talking Celsius, by the way, for the people in America listening.
Celsius, yeah.
Don't set your dryers to 162 degrees Fahrenheit. It's not going to do you any
320.
good.
I can't even do the maths in my head. I'll go 320. But, it's the energy used to dry my logo would probably be about 4 seconds worth of energy at that temperature because it would convect, the heat would run along the ink really quickly. But a big print like yours behind you, then it would take longer, which is why our ink always fails in the center, in the middle of something.
But that being said, too, is a lot of people are doing these temp guns on top of the ink and they're just seeing it come through and they're like, oh, I hit 320. But that's also the surface. Like, how thick is your ink? How is it? Whatever. Like, are you baking I always hear people say, like, baking a cake, like low and slow, get, the humidity out. Let's do this, whatever. Let's get the cake to cook all the way through. Because what I don't want is it to be dry to the touch. You're like, oh, it's good. But then the ink in the middle or at the shirt level is still wet or undercured. It's not 320. And maybe that only got to 3 or I know there's a variance in ink too. Like, I don't want to say that because a lot of manufacturers say cure at 320, really cures at 280. You got this like flex window of like 50 to 75, whatever it is. I'm just saying, like, there's a lot of variables there too. So I think that's where like putting the donut probe like on the actual shirt, the crosshairs go over the ink. Right. It
has to cure. If you the way you can tell if you've checked it correctly is at the end of the dryer, you have to physically peel those crosshairs out of cured ink. You have done it correctly. That's the way that you know that you have checked the entire ink film. We are checking the entire ink film, not the surface like you mentioned before, but the entire ink film. The only way to check the entire ink film is to physically put something in there. So right. I will always push it in there and check that it's physically buried in the ink. And if it cures around it, which it should do, you'll feel it rip out of the ink at the end.
Right. Okay. That's great.
For me, with a temperature gun, we're using an IR or infrared temperature gun, so a beam of infrared light. If we're doing that in an infrared dryer, you're going to get distortion all over the place because you're going to pick up the infrared from the dryer. And you're also trying to shoot a moving target, so you're not sure what you're going to get. And for me, it's just not a right. predictable or repeatable method. Does it give me a ballpark? Yeah, it'll tell me if my dryer's only set to 200 instead of 320. Yeah, it'll tell me that.
Yeah.
But
I will say that I do use one, but usually it's for live printing where it's like, hey, we're out in a field and I'm like, I just want to make sure these are roughly getting to the temperature they need to get to.
For pallet temperature, they are immensely valuable. So I insist that there's one at the side of every press to know the pallet temperature because my magic window between 60 and 80, just double it. 120 and 180 Fahrenheit pallet temperature. For some jobs, it's quite a broad window. For others, it's very small. And if you're running a job and then all of a sudden it starts to pop, makes that noise, you're like, oh, what happened? Well, get your temperature gun out and just check the temperature. And if you suddenly find that the pallets have dropped 15 degrees because the loading bay door's open, then you know exactly what it was. It's not you. You're not crap. You didn't fail to sacrifice anything to the squeegee gods. Something in the environment changed. And if you can go, right, well, it was running perfect at 65, and now at 55 it's making that noise. It's not me. It's the pallet temperature. So I think we have to know the temperature. Like I said before, after a week or so of knowing that temperature, putting your hand on it and knowing you're within the range, fair enough. You can't beat a quantifiable number.
Yeah, I agree. And there's also a bunch of other variables that we're not talking about. Like you said, you kind of mentioned real quick, like an IR dryer versus a gas dryer versus a mix of the two and like whatever. And it's like, well, do you have forced air? Is it like air blowing around everywhere, or is it heat straight down? Also too, like on my dryer, I don't know if this is right or not, but I heard it, I think from a tech when I first got it, that I have a split belt Sprint 3000. And it's like, well, the one belt on the right side is slightly faster at base speeds as the one on the left, because the temperature like is coming out of the right side of the dryer and then rolling through, versus the left side where the heat isn't coming out as direct. So like they speed it up so that they're about at the same temperature. I don't know. It's just, there's like a million fucking.
I think there's a small amount of bullshit in that, but we'll let it slide for now. The manufacturer of a dryer should be to eliminate as much heat loss as possible, and it should be uniform across the belt. There is some physics attached to what you said, which is the closer to the burner will be warmer because that's where it comes out of, and it cools as it goes round. But that's just usually bad manufacture or bad insulation.
Okay, well that explains it. Do you have another tool?
I don't know. Do we have 3 days to go through this?
Well, we did dryer probe, we did durometer tester.
Let me just have a look at my list.
Emulsion. The only one we didn't go over is the squeegee cutter.
Squeegee cutter. I love a squeegee cutter. I think they're fantastic. The amount of times I've spent bending a squeegee in half with an old craft knife trying to cut it.
It's also a good way to cut your hand.
And it looks like you've done it with your teeth at the end of it. You're not proud of it at all. And so Cerilor, again, the French company, came out with this fantastic guillotine-like squeegee cutter. And I was in awe of it. I thought, that's great. And you could bundle it with a corner rounder as well. It's like $1,000 for this thing.
I know.
And I thought it was fantastic. Honestly, it was superb. And so I used to have one. I did the inevitable. I went to a shop. I left it. And I was gutted. I thought, I'll buy another one. I'm like, no, I'm not buying another one. And I was in Kansas City. Not even in Kansas City. I was in Kansas, on the border of Oklahoma. And it was in a shop in the middle of nowhere. And I had to cut some squeegee. And I had a sales rep with me from SPSI. And he said, do you want to cut some rubber? I said, yeah, have you got a knife or something? Because I haven't got anything to cut it with. So I'll nip out and I'll buy you a squeegee cutter. But these things are like $1,000 from France. Where are you going to find a squeegee cutter in the I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, arse end of nowhere?
Yes, you are.
You're not going to find one. He went, I'll go get you one now. I said, it'd be like $200-300. $20, I'll be back. 10 minutes later, he came back, spent $20, and he'd got a squeegee cutter in his hand. Where the hell did you find that? He said, well, it's a conduit cutter. $20. You know, plastic conduit like this that you put cable in? Mitre shears is the proper word for them. They're just the right length.
I have a pair of those. I've never tried cutting squeegee with it.
It's the easiest thing in the world. It's like cutting butter. You just straight in and snip. It's done, and it's $20. I'm like, okay, I'm not pushing.
I love your American.
I'm not pushing the butter. I was in a jacket potato shop, which probably said that as wrong as well. But I was in a jacket potato shop, and I went and got to go ask for extra butter. The Spanish lady behind the counter was like, I don't understand what you're saying. And she went and got someone else who was sort of like American.
How do you not hear butter? It sounds like you're saying butter.
The way I said it is, can I have some extra butter, please? What do you want? Some butter? Again? Just some butter? Some more butter? And at this point, I'm like, fuck it, I'll eat it dry. And she came back and she went, this? And she came out with a bag. But balsa? Bag? I don't want a bag. I want some butter. Some what? All right, okay, I'm ashamed to do this. Can I have some butter? Oh, butter, there you go.
That's amazing. I love that so much.
So, I don't know where we were. Oh yeah,
we were in the squeegee cutter.
It cuts it really easily. So $20, angled mitre shears, and you can cut your squeegees with absolute profession, and it gives it the perfect cleanest edge ever.
All right, I got a couple questions here because it's stuff that I've kind of thought about and struggled or whatever. Okay. Do you feel like it's worth it to order from a manufacturer pre-cut squeegees, or just buy the roll and cut it yourself?
Buy the roll, cut yourself. Not even up for debate.
Okay, and you think that's just because it's stupid and you can just do it yourself and whatever?
Number one, it's cheaper.
For sure, cheaper.
Well, it has to be. You're going to pay someone to cut it.
No,
and for $20, you can buy a butter cutter and do it yourself.
A what? So, what are you saying?
Mitre shears. You can buy mitre shears for 20 quid for $20 and basically do it yourself. And not all squeegees are the same. You know, your 18-inch squeegees, you might have some 16-inch squeegees, you might have some sleeve board squeegees. I hope you do.
The question isn't necessarily the cutting. The cutting I can understand, like whatever. But the thing is too, is like I like to round the edges of my squeegees. Yeah. So again, that's a whole nother thing of like, okay, well, I got to cut it. Now I got to round them, which I've used multiple things. I've cut it with a blade. I've got out a belt sander where I just basically take the edge of it and I round off the corners on both sides. But then there's on top of that. Well, I guess let me get your take on that real quick, is to round or not to round?
Not even up for debate. Must round every time.
Okay, so there you go.
A sharp squeegee, when it goes up and down the screen 3,000 times a day in exactly the same position because it can't move, will bust that, especially S-mesh or sensitive mesh. It will bust it. It'll just physically abrade it. So you must round off the corners every time.
And we're talking just the edges. We're not talking the actual squeegee blade on the front. We're talking about the corners,
left to right.
Yes,
left to right should go like that. Yeah.
Okay. So that being said,
and what do you use? You use a belt sander or very open grit sandpaper, or I got accused of a redneck method, which was the concrete outside. Outside, hold your squeegee, just go like that. Yeah.
I've also done it where I've just put like a heavy grit sandpaper like on a table, like a square of it, and then I'll just take the corner and I'll just like go back and forth.
Nothing wrong with that. Perfect.
Or just get a little like Dremel sander and do the edges, whatever. Regardless, so you got to cut them, you got to round the corners, and then also too, I've seen multiple ways of doing this. And Kyle Caldwell had like one of the best ones I've ever seen, is having squeegee blades where you cut a notch out of the center for doing like polo or a zip up or something where. And this is where I want to get your opinion, is I've seen people too where they notch out an inch or whatever.
2 pieces or a notch. That's your question, yeah?
Yes, 2 pieces or a notch. Because the thing is too, is I feel like if you notch out too much, then there's way too much flex in the blade because you're getting rid of the sturdiness of it being one blade. And that goes to where like people go get a 6-inch squeegee blade for sleeve pallets or something. I feel like those flex like twice as easy as a regular full 16-inch blade. So that's my question is, well, the reason why I bring up Kyle is because I saw I think he put his on like a drill press with like a hole saw, and he cut out the inch, but he did it with like a half circle, like hole saw instead of cutting out a square, because then you keep the rigidness of the full blade instead of having like a big notch cut out of the middle. So you're keeping that arc, which is making everything stronger.
I like the notch method. It's difficult to do. It's difficult to round the edges because we still got to round those edges as well. And it's harder to get any sort of device in there to cut that middle bit. So the only reason I like the notch is cleaning. It's easier to clean. If we're going to use 2 pieces, we have to tape up or block the middle bit because all the plasters will just go straight inside the squeegee holder.
Right. Okay. Again, if you can see it, I'll try to find a picture of it or something, but I saw Kyle's once and I was like, I just want to do that. Like I want to fucking get a little drill press and just notch out all of these. And I want to have something to round all the corners.
I like the idea.
Yeah, I think it's sweet. All right. So we covered a lot of these tools, and I think that goes back to what I was saying in the beginning, is just like the art and the craft of what it is that we do. We can be as artistic as we want. We can do whatever, but there are some basics that we should at least adhere to these tools and these trying things out. And it saves us from a lot of headaches and a lot of issues.
Yeah. The other, my only last tool would be a digital loop. So the digital loop helps me identify problems on screen, on press, and on shirt. So you've seen these before. These are the wireless, connect to your phone or connect to your computer or
so you're
connect to a
having
big
that.
screen.
That's the one where it goes to a bigger screen. I like just a lighted loop. Like I like the handheld what's got a light. I can look down in it. I can see it. I think that those are great for even registration. Like if you're doing a sim process or you're doing something, you're looking at it with a human eye. And you're like, I don't know where this is out. I don't know whether to move it up, down, left, right. I don't know what to do. You put a lighted loop in there, you can see immediately. Oh, the red's got to go to the left.
Yeah, I use it because my eyes are old and broken. But one of the advantages of the enhanced magnification on a digital loop is what we were talking about before about the bright white. When we explain to people that it's better to sit the ink on top of the fabric rather than to smash it all the way through, once we say that to people, they don't really get it. But if I take a print that I've backed off that pressure so the ink sits on top of the fabric rather than the fabric's poking through, if I look through one of these at the end of the dryer, I can see the fibers poking through the ink. Based against one where I backed off the pressure, found the minimums, got everything sitting and just kissing the top of the fabric gently. And then we look through with a digital loop and we can see the actual fibers have been flattened and matted down. That's when it sort of hits home. So one of my favorite tools to use, probably as a consultant, but also in educating press operators, is that close-up look of a print. I understand the registration, and again, you can use just a normal loop for that. But the enhanced magnification of a digital version lets me see exactly what that ink is doing. Is it sitting on the fabric like it should, or is the fabric poking up through the ink because I've been smashing it to death?
Right. I agree. If you can, I know the listeners should know the answer already, but can you kind of just sum up the whole reason why we should invest in these tools, why we should go get a little nerdy, a little sciencey with all of these things? Because the truth of it is most of it boils down to profitability and headaches and less of those things.
Yeah, our craft, art, calling, curse, whatever you want to label it, is such a strange one, because I could start printing tomorrow for a $200 investment. Or I could put $1 million in and print the same shirt. It's such a wide, varied range. I can make it work in a bathtub with a wooden picture frame stretched with staples. You know, I can make that work, or I can go out and buy the angled frames at $500 a piece and make it work that way. Both of them work. That's the issue with our trade, is they will work. So it comes down to a little bit of professional pride. If you're going to do something, do it well. And it comes down to zooming out and looking at the longer term benefits of buying a $500 probe that tells me whether my dryer's hot or not.
Well, hold on. That being said, though, too, and you made a great point, is like someone can go out and stretch a screen themselves with a staple gun and like all this other stuff. And it's this one guy or girl, and they can make this print, and you look at it in real life, you're like, holy shit, this looks great. Like I can see your artistry in this. I can see that you kind of knew what you were doing. And then on this other side, you can have the guy who bought went out and got a loan and bought a press and did all this stuff and printed a shirt, and he has this too. But the reason why these tools are important is because we're talking about these things being made with one person over here and one person over here. And the reason why the tools are important, especially in a shop like mine and stuff, is repeatability. Like I might be able to make an awesome shirt today, but can I make that same awesome shirt tomorrow? Can I make that same awesome shirt under pressure? Can I make that same awesome shirt when someone's having a bad, shitty day? Like all of these things, I want repeatability. I want every print, no matter what it is, to have the same stencil. I want it to have this, because that's where we can start to narrow down these variables to being like, okay, well, is it one of these four things? cool, not one of 4,000 things. And I think that's where the tools come in, is like, okay, we're kind of answering some questions so we can have peace of mind knowing our tools are where they need to be, our things, our inks are where they need to be, all these other things.
It's all about controlling those variables. And the best sort of explanation or diagram I can give for that is the coater. You've coated screens by hand. You can coat screens by hand, yeah? I've coated screens by hand since 1987. I've lost count of how many screens I can coat. And I can coat them with my eyes closed. But my Monday screen does not look like my Friday screen. Yeah. If you measure it with UOM and you look at the intensity, it's not the same. I can't get that repeatability because I'm a squishy thing. I'm a human. And so the reason we buy an auto coater is to get that repeatability without relying on the skill. And it's the same for all of these tools that we have and the things that we want to invest in. We invest in the screens because it gives us that repeatability without relying on a skill level. And I've got to be honest, I say this a lot of times. The reason you're not making money is screens, something else is wrong with your business. If the reason that you're not making money is because you think the ink's too expensive, then there's something else in your business that's not right, whether it's your pricing, your overheads, whatever it is, there's something else not right. But if you think the reason that you're losing money is because you want to save money on buying low quality tools to perform the task with, take a look somewhere else in your business.
I agree. Being a consultant and going around and seeing shops everywhere, what are you seeing is like maybe the one or two top things where shops are kind of like bleeding money or time or whatever? I mean, from my perspective, just hearing people question things, I feel like most people are losing money in just setup times. People are like, well, it's taken me an hour and a half to set up every job or something. And it's like, okay, well, but I've mentioned this before where there's shops that are like, I want to buy another auto. I need to figure out how to do it. I need more space. I need whatever. And I'm like, all right, well, have you got everything else dialed first? Is your pre-press like awesome? Is this done? Because the thing is like, if you dialed in your dark room more than you have it now, you can probably get 2-3 more jobs done a day because you're spending less time setting up. Like if you're taking you an hour to set up every job, what are you doing? 4 jobs a day and then the other 4 hours in your 8-hour day is setting up. Like you're losing it. You're losing a lot of production time. And it's like, do you need another press? Well, if you dialed in this, you wouldn't need another press because you get twice as many jobs done in a day.
And you saying that and acknowledging that is great. But sometimes people are so far in the weeds that they don't see it. They just don't see it. And somebody has to come along sometimes and go, where's your bottleneck? What do you mean? Well, if I could give you double the screens, would you make double the shirts? No. Okay, so where's your bottleneck? Well, my press will spin at 1,000 an hour, but my dryer can only dry 50 shirts an hour. Well, there we go then. There's a bottleneck.
Right.
And sometimes it takes someone like me with a fresh set of eyes to come along and go, right, okay, we can quite clearly see that the guys are all waiting for screens. But the guy's working really hard. Yeah, but it's an impossible task. You need to invest more over here to increase this over here. There's no easy solution.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you want to add, say, beginning 2026, like what you're seeing for the future or anything that's a kind of an issue with our industry, or maybe I guess we talked let's go full circle to what we talked about in the beginning, positivity of what you're noticing in the industry? I don't
know if it's positivity or not. What I notice is how much the industry has changed. And I don't really see a solution. I'll give you some random stuff, random figures and stats. When I first started printing, we didn't have color. It was all black and white. It's that long ago. Basically,
vision was black and white back then.
Basically, in the UK, 65, 70 million people, we had 6 shops with over 6 presses, and they were the main printers and providers of everything from fashion to music merch. And if you wanted a printed shirt for a small company, a small business, or a stag weekend, whatever, then you went to the guy with the carousel and he charged you an arm and a leg. Slowly but surely that changed. And now I can count in the UK alone 800 machines top to bottom. And the average number of presses in a shop is probably 2. And so we got closer to the end user. Now, with the advent of the internet, the end user can buy 50 shirts from a printer with 1 auto or 2 autos. But if we really look at it, that's not what this system, this screen printing lark, was made for. Screen printing was made to produce 3,000 to 4,000 pieces per day of the same design. And that the machines are made like that, the screens are made like that, the inks are made like that. The whole process is based around mass production of a printed image, repeatability.
It's funny. I don't think I've ever thought of it necessarily that way.
The industry changed in that, okay, well, how about mass customization? Can we do that? Can we bring it down? I always used, when I first started, our MOQ, our minimum order quantity, the minimum number of pieces that we would bother setting up a press for was 3,000 pieces. Less than 3,000 pieces, go get it done somewhere else, get some transfers or whatever you want to do. But there's no way I'm going to make all these screens, draw the artwork, make the screens, Pantone match the colours, set it up. We were allocated 4 hours. 4 hours to set a press. Cut ruby lith, yeah. Go into the camera, go into the darkroom, use the camera, put it through the developer. Yeah, it just wasn't. This is not what screen printing is not made for that. But the market shifted so rapidly with the onset of the internet, and now we've got access. The Joe Public's got the access to us. Then all of a sudden, okay, I'm getting lots of orders, less than 1,000 pieces. What can I do? Okay, well, let's look at the pre-press. Let's automate the pre-press as much as possible. Why? Because that's where our dead time is. It takes me 6 to 7 man hours to get a job from approved to first strike off. Can we get that down to 4 hours? Well, yeah, sure. We've got an auto machine here. We've got a reclaimer. We've got an auto coater. We've got an auto developer. And let's cut out the film. Let's print directly onto the emulsion. And so everything we've done is to speed up that first shirt getting off the press. But at the end of the day, 100 pieces on a press that's designed to do 1,000 pieces an hour, it's less than 6 minutes.
It's really funny. I don't know why I've never I probably thought about it, but the way that you're describing it now about having all of the shit that we're having. So say I invest all this money, I get like a fucking laser and I get, the top of the line presses and dryers and the inks and everything else. And then someone comes in and wants, like you said, like 60 pieces or whatever. It's like the reality is the printing is the easiest part at that point, because the pre-press is like the setting up, doing all these things, the investment, the whatever, put it on press, and it spins 4 times and the job's done. Yeah. And it's like, fuck, why we have all, it's like super overkill.
It is, yeah, it is. And we've reached that point now where the average job I get the 3 things I get from people, what's your average number of pieces, average number of colors, and average frequency of orders? How many times do you do that per day? If you have those figures and you look at them and you go, 120 is my average number?
Yeah.
Really? In my head, it was 500 and 600.
I would say the average shop that's doing, say $800,000 or even less or whatever, up to, $2 million, they got 2-3 autos, whatever it is. Yeah, like the average order that's coming in the door is 50, 100, 200 pieces. And we're just doing 20 of those a day or whatever it is. And it's like, that's just what it is. And you're saying like, oh, we're set up to do 3,000, 4,000, 10,000 pieces, whatever it is. It's like those jobs, like if we just did what you said of like, we're set up to do 10,000 piece jobs and all I did is shoo away everything other than that, I do 4 jobs a year.
Yeah, I know. But that's what the system was designed to produce.
No, I agree with you. But that's what I'm saying. It's just funny to think about it that way.
The press, the screen, the artwork involved, it was designed to do that. We've had to adapt and shift and make it so that, the customer, those jobs have gone where the labor's cheap. We don't have those jobs anymore. Everything's offshored where, the guys are getting paid $100 a month. I'm having to pay my guy $100 just to set the press up.
Yeah.
So it's changed. And the way we looked at it was, well, we can't make the press go any faster because of the squishy thing. Well, there's nothing we can do to the design of the press to make it any more efficient. Let's look at what happens before we get to press. All the stuff we're losing money on.
Which makes an argument for what we talked about in the beginning is the digital side of things, where it's like, okay, this is made for the 10 pieces, the 20 pieces, the 50-piece orders, 100-piece orders, whatever. So it kind of does make sense, like in a sense of like just sheer, what's it worth to you? You know what I mean? Do you have a whole warehouse full of items and giant autos and everything? If you're doing nothing but 25 to 50 to 100-piece orders all day long? Yeah. Is it worth having all of this equipment and labor and time and everything? Or is it like, cool, let's invest in a DTF printer and heat presses that takes up the size of a bedroom, and it's one operator, and I can do all the 50-piece orders over there. I can do the, whatever.
And inside that field, there's still the people who don't control the variables and put out bad transfers that look like they've just been stuck on. And there are people who
that's a whole other. We could talk about that for hours about like.
Yeah, but within the same sort of area of, do we look after our screens? Do we look after our tensions? Do we look after our presses? Yes, in the same way that a guy, prepares his artwork correctly, has the correct, doesn't skimp on the powder and the film and the ink. Putting all these things together. Yeah.
It's such a hard thing to talk to the end customer about that, though, too, is like, we've done it. We've ordered from like 30 different places, DTF or whatever. And I could order the same transfer from all of them, line them up. And they all be different color values, detail, white poking out, like all these, like everything is different. Oh, these ones don't have enough glue or half as much glue. They don't work on hats. They'll peel off. We'll never be able to press. Like, there's so many variables with that stuff too. It's not like you just buy a machine and it's like problem solved, check. Like this works out the door.
In the same way, you don't just buy an auto press and go, right, okay, I've got the capacity now. Bring them on. Give me the 5,000 shirts a day. I'm gonna be a millionaire soon.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that.
Which is a discussion that we just had on the episode that just came out with a friend of yours.
With Adam.
He was like, I can make millions now. And it's like, whoa, you're in for a reality check, bud.
You sit there and I've just printed 10 shirts in 5 minutes. Well, that's 100 and that's 600 an hour. Every hour, there's 8 hours in a day. Oh, I'm going to retire.
That's where I was like, yeah, you're going to make tens of dollars.
Tens of dollars. I like that, yeah.
All right, Tony. Again, we could do a whole nother episode in 6 months about some other topic or something. So let's wrap this one up.
I've got a full list. We only touched the top stuff.
I know.
We can do a 3-day episode.
We're going to keep doing these with you over and over again over periods of time. But again, too, if you haven't seen it, too, Tony's offering up some articles as well for the website. So if you want to learn more from him, you can there. But I do want to ask you some quick takes. You're not quite done yet.
Okay.
All right. Real questions for you. The hard stuff.
Okay.
Do you happen to have a shop hack that we haven't discussed today or something that you can think of? I think the squeegee cutter was a great one.
Yeah, that's good. The $20 mitre shares, that's great. I had a list of sort of essentials that if I go to a shop, I want these things to be there. So number one was laser guides. So laser guides for placing the T-shirt. I'm not a big fan of fingers, as we know. I'm not a big fan of Sharpie lines on a palette, which every time we cover it up, it disappears. So for me, laser guides, number one. Squirty bottles, number two. I don't know what you'd call those.
Squirty bottles.
Squirty bottles. Condiment bottles. Condiment bottles for
why does everything in like your English and your UK isms or why does everything
English,
sound dirty?
Yeah. English, yeah,
just English in general.
You fucked up, yeah.
Yeah, we fucked it up. But everything word that you guys have for something is just super like sexual. It's just fucking.
Maybe it's just you.
It's probably me. It's just what I'm thinking of.
So for me, a squirty bottle, a condiment bottle is to put the glue in. Not glue all over the place then. Also for water-based pigment concentrate dispersion, perfect for those as well.
Yeah. Well, I want to ask you real quick while we're on that topic. What is your thoughts on like the print grip or palette gel versus like a water-based adhesive on pallets? What are you
I'm
seeing?
a water-based adhesive on pallets guy. I love the print grip. I think it's fantastic. And if I'm doing an expo or a demonstration somewhere, it's great.
It's the best.
And I'm doing
dude.
like 400, 500 shirts a day.
Print grip for live printing is fucking amazing.
I'm not under any time pressure. There's no mess. It's great. But in the harsh reality of the world, you throw fleeces and sweatshirts on there. And I was in a shop in right up in the upstate New York, and he was using it, and he had two guys who performed the slickest dance I've ever seen of loading a sweatshirt on, taking it off, spraying it with water, scrubbing it, drying it, and loading it back on again, all within under about 8 seconds. The press never stopped. And I've recorded it and studied it. I can't do it.
Yeah.
They just had it down to a fine art. They were putting the sweatshirt on. As one guy took it off, the other guy squirted it, and then the other guy went and did that, and he rubbed it, and then the other guy dried it, put it on. I'm like, awesome. It does work for sweatshirts.
The thing is with that,
work.
Yeah, I understand. I don't know because I'm not out there all day long, but like we are using it for hoodies, and we are not scrubbing after every hoodie. Like I asked them at one point, like how many revolutions before you have to scrub, and like it depends on the hoodie too. Like you might have some hoodies that don't have, like we say maybe like a cart. So like a cart of hoodies is, not that many because it takes up a lot of space. But like we might, so maybe do like 3-4 revolutions and then we scrub. But again, like it's comes down
game,
to but again, it depends on the hoodie of like how much fiber's on the inside, like how it's a sponge fleece versus a like a G5000 or something or whatever it is. It's different. But again, like now we have no aerosols, we have no web glue, we have none of that fucking shit all over the inside of a hoodie. Or the thing that I like the most is we do a lot of prints that are big, and it's like a big rectangle or something. And it's like, if you're using web glue, did you accurately cover all of the surface area of the palette, or did you miss the bottom corner or something? And it's like, okay, on palette 6, it's slightly out of registration on the bottom corner because there was no glue and it moved or whatever. And now with the print grip, it's like full surface area of the palette. And it's like, okay, well, if it's adhesive, if it's sticky enough all over, we don't have that issue anymore. So I don't know. My shop likes it. I feel like it's 50-50 across the industry. I feel like some people I talk to are like, fuck that shit. I never want to touch it again. I can't use it. I don't like it, whatever. And then there's shops like us or other ones I know that are like, yeah, the rules. Like I've never go back.
I pretty much narrow it down to, if you were a water-based printer, it'd be 95/5.
Yeah, a lot of water-based shops don't like it because the ink will go through and it just won't stick. Yeah, I agree. But Plastisol works great.
For Plastisol, it works great. I love it because it protects the press, it protects the operator, it protects the environment. All the turtles and dolphins are safe. There's no I don't know what you could call it, but it looks like a German film that you shouldn't be watching. Splattered all over the place.
I stopped myself. I did stop myself when I was talking about. I just said all over. Like I did this motion. So if you're listening, you can't see what I did, but like that's what I meant. I've literally had that. I've had customers be like, "What did you guys do to these?" Where it's just like you look at the inside of a black hoodie and it looks like a teenage disaster zone, like a sock you found.
So rollers for glue. So for water-based glue was always the little radiator roller, the little 4-inch roller, or paint pads. You know the pads that you use to paint a wall?
Yeah.
Those on a pallet, they're quite good.
That's cool. We've used the roller
spread
before.
The water-based glue. Spread the water-based glue. Baby wipes, but I think that was originally yours, so we'll leave it there.
Well, back to the water-based glue real quick. We did have a shop hack that I think Eric and Night Owls might have given us forever ago, is putting a little bit of food coloring in the water-based glue so that you can see it when you put it on the palette. So you put like a tint of like blue or green or something in the glue. When you spread it, you can make sure you're spreading it over the whole thing. Because a lot of times you're putting it on a whitish palette with white glue. It's kind of hard to make sure you get all the surface area.
Yeah. Scrub pads, the little scrub pads, I don't know what you call them, but they're like a red foam with a backing handle.
Yeah.
For cleaning screens and cleaning palettes, and for me, they're invaluable. Yep. So there's like a list of things that I like to have in a shop, not really shop hacks. I suppose my favourite one that gets the most is the double-sided tape on the first screen as a lint catcher.
Like, you mean hanging off the screen?
Hang a tape down off the front of the screen.
Yeah.
For me, that's the one that people go, oh. And I quite like that one as a shop.
That one's pretty cool too. So you just hang, you basically put 2 pieces of tape off of a frame, and then that just drags across the shirt before it gets to the print head, and it gets all the little lint balls or whatever. And then eventually you just replace the tape like every so often. But it gets all those little stragglers, lint ball things.
Yeah.
But no, that's a great one. All right. Next question. It's really important. What is your perfect candy?
Oh, perfect candy. Crikey. It has to be what I take with me everywhere. And it is
just mint
Imperials. Yeah, little boiled sweets mint. And this goes back to, I used to be a very heavy, prolific chain smoker. And when I stopped, I had to have some sort of habit that I had to do with my hands. And I found like mints that lasted a while. And now for me, it's still there. The habit's still there. Not the best thing for you, but it's still there.
This is a fun fact that I found out recently that I have enjoyed telling a couple people, but someone was saying how it was actually Tom Hanks who was talking about it, where basically Tom Hanks played Walt Disney in a movie, like he was Walt Disney in the movie that he was in, and he was talking about how Walt was like a chain smoker. Like he always had a cigarette in his hand. Well, there's all these pictures at Disney World and Disneyland and all this stuff, and just like in the world where it always shows Walt doing this, like he's pointing with 2 fingers, or he's doing this, or what they did is they airbrushed out the cigarette. So you think that Walt points with 2 fingers all the time, but really he has a cigarette in his hand. I thought that was amazing. I was like, dude, that is so good. Like that is one of those things of like, let's make this guy look better than he is. Like I would rather have appreciated it if he had a cigarette in his hand. I get it, like for kids and like being at Disney, but it's just funny that they just like, let's get rid of his bad habit. Like let's get it out of there. But like he's always pointing with 2 fingers.
I would always have one hanging out my mouth, and as I'm printing, the ash would fall into the plastic solid. I'd mix it in a little bit. It was
that
always
guy
there.
with like 3 inches of ash on the cigarette.
That's the one. It always falls into the screen.
My grandpa was like a chain smoker, and he was also a drinker, and he always had those little Miller High Life, like mini glass ones, whatever. And he would always be drinking that, and he would smoke his cigarette. And by the time he finished the mini, he could put the ashes in the bottle. So it was just like,
efficient.
It was right. The efficiency of it. All right. I don't know if I want to skip this one. What animal would you become if you could transform Animorph style?
I did not expect these questions.
These are new, and I like them because it's throwing you off guard so bad.
Absolutely. Probably my dog, because he's the most spoilt thing in the world, and he lives a better life than me. So
just to
probably
be like
my
a
dog.
Squishy lap dog for somebody.
Yeah. He's an English Springer Spaniel. His only goal in life is to swim and chase ducks, and I think that's just enough for me.
Yeah, it sounds wonderful. I always think that with a pet too. I'm like, you don't have any fucking bills. You get food handed to you every day. Granted, it's probably shitty pellets, but still.
They sit down and sigh like they've got the troubles of the world on their shoulders and they're paying a mortgage. I'm like, hang on, zoom out a little bit. You don't do anything.
Exactly. All right. This next question would be like, what's your perfect vacation day? But I do want to change it for you because you travel all over for work. What's some of your favorite places in the world that you've been that are just like amazing places to be?
I do get asked this a lot, so I'm okay with this one. Number one was Canada, and it was an area called Banff. It was just
Banff National Park.
Yeah. It was just stunning. I was training for an ultramarathon. I was supposed to be out running, and I just kept stopping every mile or so just to look at the view. It was the middle of summer. It was all perfectly warm. It was just the perfect temperature. The geology and the landscape was stunning. I also went to Montana, and it was very similar landscape there. And so that sort of area, that sort of landscaping, geology, just breathtaking. And then the opposite side would be probably somewhere like Guatemala, with the green and the volcanoes and the hills and the just the lush vegetation that's out there.
It's amazing. Yeah, I love that stuff. I always tell like Christina or other people, like, when I want to travel and do these things, I'm more interested in like the natural occurring, like, oh, let's go to this fucking cave, or let's go to this like mountaintop, or let's hike this or do this. It's like, I could care less about going and seeing some fucking building. I mean, if it's a castle that's like, you know, hundreds of years old, or if it's a pyramid that was before anybody knows what the fuck it was, like, yeah, I want to see that for sure. But like, I more want to see like natural things over being like, oh, I want to go to this city. It's like, I don't give a shit. It's just, all cities are the same.
I've been to so many cities now, I couldn't even tell you where I was sometimes. You know, you look around and you see the same things. And like,
it's just the same shit.
Yeah.
If your life was a movie, who would play you?
Rowan Atkinson.
I'm going to have to look that up. I don't know who that is.
Mr. Bean.
Oh, really? No, perfect. All right. I know exactly what you're talking about. Mr. Bean. That is a good one. I didn't realize too. Well, I mean, obviously, like, people have lives that you don't know about, but I didn't realize how much of a badass Mr. Bean was outside of his.
The news that's came out in the last month, apparently he really is, yeah.
Yeah. Well, especially he had this car that he, like, sports car that he just like fucking kept wrecking.
Big petrol head. Big petrol head. Yeah.
It's crazy. You would never think that about this guy watching his movies. All right, let's just go right to this one. Top 4 favorite movies of all time.
I'm a huge sci-fi geek.
Good, because I am too.
And I also have a strange thing where I don't want to watch a movie twice. So if I watch a movie,
I don't know if I like that. But
if I watch it once, I don't want to watch it again, unless it's hit me in such a way that I want to watch it again. And that's how I categorize a good
watch
film.
Movies over and over and over and over again.
So my first movie that I wanted to watch again was Total Recall, the Arnie version.
I just brought that one up a couple episodes ago and nobody caught it. Like, one person commented on YouTube that got it. But someone said something about a growth, and I was like, oh, like your Quato or whatever. And I was talking about when he picks his shirt up and there's like that creature living on his body. And
yeah,
I was
the real villain.
Yeah. I was like, that's Total Recall, or Three Titties.
Yeah. I'm also a huge Prince fan, so left field would be Purple Rain. Not the best film in the world, but the music just takes me to another place. So
Purple Rain live, I think it was at a Super Bowl where he's playing in the rain, is amazing.
Yeah, unbelievable.
It's one of the best things to watch live.
It's one of it's my funeral song. So yeah, it's right up there. That should be a good question. That's a good question to have for you. So it'd have to be, again, sci-fi would be Blade Runner, the original. Not the newer one. No, I liked it, but not as much. It's one of those things, whatever you see first, isn't it? And the last one would be, again, sci-fi. It's just my genre. It's what I love. Demolition Man.
Dude, you have a very specific theme going on here with your movies.
Yeah.
And you got Arnie in like 3 of them.
Yeah, absolutely. And for me, Demolition Man, I will watch again and apply it to the modern world, and I love that.
Mm-hmm. Did you watch the new Running Man?
Yeah, I probably did. Yeah.
Well, there's the one that just came out there
recently. No, not recently.
Recently. Yeah.
No, not
But
recently. No,
that one.
I don't get
that
much
one-
time to watch movies now. That's my only thing. I'm usually traveling so much that I don't get time to watch them unless they're on the
plane.
on the plane movie. Yeah, yeah. And that's the only time I get to watch them.
I download a bunch of movies every time before I fly, and that's my go-to is to just watch movies on the plane. But I watch them every single day anyway. But anyway, Tony, thank you very much for doing this with me. I appreciate you always. You have great insights. Hopefully people get a lot from this, which I think they should. And can they reach out to you to ask questions? Or is
I
it
would
more
be
like
so disappointed if they didn't. That's what I say to anybody. There's no such thing as a dumb question. There's only one dumb question. That's the one you didn't ask. Because you thought, oh no, you might think I'm crazy. No, absolutely. I am always available to answer any questions whatsoever. And I thrive off it. I love it.
What's the best way for them to do that?
Either Instagram. To be fair, Instagram's number one. Website, you'll get some contact details on there with my emails and cell phone numbers, WhatsApp. But probably number one is Instagram. Drop me a
And
DM
that's
on
what,
Instagram.
at Palm Print?
At Palm Print, yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, Tony, I appreciate you, man. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will talk to you soon.
No worries. See you soon.
Thanks, Tony. See you.